first act up of the evening. Now, the first 3 acts we've got on tonight are brand new to stand-up comedy, so I want you to show them a lot of love. They're all fantastic, really, really funny people, and I know you're going to love them as much as I do. Have we got any teachers or trainee teachers in the house? Give us a woo. Woo. Until it's Monday tomorrow, can't you? Now, I don't know if you can kind of agree with this for me. I found the perfect way to multitask as a teacher. There's 2 tasks that I think go perfectly well together, and they are photocopying and crying. I spend a surprising amount of time doing those 2 things together. So our first act is a trainee teacher. I think she's probably a pretty bloody scary one. If what she's like on a day-to-day basis is anything to go by. Before we bring her out, let's try and do that really awful cliche comedy thing. Let's start with stamping our feet. Okay, now to applause.
Right, but this could be actually one of the nightmares. Right, I want all you teachers out there, think about your worst possible nightmare. What could go wrong in the classroom? What could possibly go wrong? Not a lot, apparently, according to John. But a child vomiting on your feet just before you're about to be observed. Yep, that's happened to someone. Parking in the headmaster's parking bay on your first day. Even after a really natty bit of parking, I did actually have to move very, very quickly after that one. But another one that seems more simple is something like just tripping over. You just trip over your chair, don't you? Or you just catch your foot on the stool as you go past. And you go down, but actually what's really funny is the coming up again. Because quite often you try and come up quicker than you get down. But for some reason, you're just hoping that all those 66 eyes have just blinked, slightly elongated at the same time. They missed it completely, but clearly none of them have, so you have to be careful of that. But there is another one, which is really scary, which is never ever, when you go to the stationery cupboard to get a new book out the cupboard, don't ever leave your keys in the drawer the other side of it. They will have you. I promise you they will. It happened to a friend of mine. I can remember at my last placement, I you know, in the middle of the lesson, can you get me a new book, miss? Yeah. I went in, I've never come out of the cupboard so bloody fast in my entire life. They all thought, oh my God, she's a bit mad. But this did actually happen to a friend of mine, and he ended up being locked in the cupboard for much longer than he would have preferred. So he had to feign an epileptic fit. A small cupboard. He had to feign an epileptic fit. So there was lots of crashing. And he could hear the discussions go, God, shit, do you think that's really real? Do you think he really has fallen over? Oh God, we better open the door. You can imagine the conversation going on the other side of the door. He said, I think we better open the door and just find out. So luckily he'd managed to get that little bit of froth. You know, and he was lying on the floor. Right, and he let them think he was dead for a while. You know, he really played it on. He let them think he was dead. And then suddenly, when they were least expecting it, he did that leaping up really fast thing. And he did. He just looked at him. She would ever fucking do that. I will have you. Now, at my first placement school, they do it the other way around. They don't lock the teachers in the classroom. They lock themselves in the classroom, which actually can be equally as annoying. Especially when you can see the little culprit scampering away, and you think, oh, you know, he's all giggling, and he thinks he thinks you don't know it's him, but clearly you do. Well, this is what happened to me the other day. I was in my lesson, got locked out, which I was very relieved about at the time, actually, because I'd much rather be locked out than in. And I saw him. I saw him going away, and I thought, right, I went to go and get another set of keys to get into the room, because clearly they were all thinking it was really funny inside. Got my other set of keys. I said, right, I know who that was. I said, you, go and sit over there in the corner. Don't move. Go and do your work. So anyway, he did. He went and sat in the corner. Absolutely brilliant. I thought, great. Now, it was a lesson where they were all coming in and out a bit, you know, because it was a library lesson, so they were going to get laptops from the library. So there were a few kids coming in and out. Anyway, I was at the computer. Thought, marvellous, this is going fine. Then suddenly I looked up the door. I see this kid walk past. And I look back at the computer, I think, do you know what, I can't actually believe I've just seen that. Look up again, he walks back again the other way. I thought, Jesus Christ. I'm quite impressed, actually, that he's managed to get from the corner of the room to the door without me noticing. I thought that was quite amazing. Anyway, so I get up and I go to the door, and there's this kid standing at the door, and I'm like, outside, and the kid's just looking at me. I give him a right earful. I absolutely go for the jugular. I'm like, how dare you deliberately disobey me? I told you to sit in the corner of the room and do your work, and you're out here wandering around in the corridor when you weren't even committed. You know the deal, you know the deal. You're really on it. You're really shouting at. Anyway, suddenly this kid very quickly said, I'm like, what? What do you mean, what? I'm not in your lesson, miss. By this time, he's actually gone completely white. Right? And he's really, really starting to shake a bit. I mean, stay there! Don't move! I go back and I think, oh my God, he's got to be out here and not in the lesson. And I go back and I look in the corner of the room, and there he is, sitting in the corner of the room. So I go outside again and have another check, and yes, it definitely is his identical twin. In the corridor. So after having completely and utterly screamed the poor little boy's head off, I then said, right, that's absolutely fine, on you go then. Go back to your lesson. So, the moral of this very short set is, 1, always have your keys with you. Don't ever leave them in the side of the door. 2, always check Serco system, just in case. There might be identical twins and you get caught unawares. Thank you very much. That's the end of my story. Thank you very much.